Hey everyone, it's Keela here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where we're going to be doing one of the Patreon soap designs. For this month I asked my patrons to name a soap making technique, and I put all the suggestions into a soapy jug, and the one I drew out came from Teia, who runs Olivia Marie & Company in Virginia in America, and I've left links to her business down in the description box so you can go and check it out. Now Teia wanted to see me use the In the Pot Swirl, and this is a relatively simple technique to do. But of course I couldn't keep this simple. The reason being there's actually several ways of doing an in the pot swirl, so I decided to demonstrate two different ways of doing the in the pot, and we're going to start off by making a moon embed with one of those techniques. So let's go. So the first thing we're going to do is create a moon embed for this soap, and we're going to use one of those in the pot swirl methods. So let me get my oil and lye mixed together, separate it out for some colours, and then we'll get on with that first in the pot swirl. Okay, so we've got our colours mixed. I have got some Nimbus Grey into my smaller pot, and then I have some titanium dioxide and a little bit of bedazzled mica in this one, just to give it a little bit of shimmer and shine. Giving that a good mix, make sure I've got everything from off the sides of my jug there. And we do, and I'm using a fragrance oil today called Twilight. I've used it a few times now. It does make the white go a little bit yellow when you first mold it, or it has in the past, but it always comes back to a nice white shade after it's cure. Now the first way we're going to do an in the pot swirl is just simply pour this into here, giving it a little bit of a swirl, and we're going to allow that sort of pouring to create the swirls that are going to go into this design. Going to get that all scraped out because we don't need any of that left over. Right, so we've got all that scraped out. I now have my PVC mold. You can't see the top, so let me get the camera adjusted. Alright, so as you can see, we've now got the soap poured in here. I had some customers come up to the door. They are regulars and they're used to me having the actual door open, but I close it when I'm doing filming just to try and block out some of that sort of outside noise. And they were trying to determine if I was open or not. So I was trying to mouth to them that I was open and just continued to pour the soap in so it didn't set up in the jug. This is looking really good on the top. Let's see if the camera will focus on the sort of swirl we've got. So look at the swirl we've got on the top of there already. This is going to be such a gorgeous moon. So that was just pouring the soap in a swirly pattern into the main colour. What I'm going to do now is leave this on to set up overnight. Then we'll unmold it ready to go into the main soap mold, and we'll do a different type of in the pot for that one. Alright, so I think I have made a suitable amount of mess right now. So we've got our moon embed unmolded. I have just mixed up the next lot of soap, and we're going to do this in the pot swirl just a little bit differently. We've got some silver polish here, and we've got some titanium dioxide with some sparkly mica as well, and then in here we've got some navy blue with a little bit of black oxide to actually get it navy. To do this in the pot swirl, I'm going to do it, so I'm going to pour my colours in, and then we'll mix it once with the spatula. So I'm going in at, that's going to be 3 o'clock, my 9 o'clock, and then I'm going to put one in at 12 and 6, and then I'm just going to finish topping these up. Don't really want to leave much in here. Good job, soon as I just put most of that on the one side there. Let's scrape that out so we can put some on this side too. Gonna do the same with my white. So a bit more at 12 and then back in at 6. Give that a bit of a scrape. And then what I'm going to do is just take my spatula, give it one complete swirl, and then I'm going to go down the middle just because I can. Alright, let's grab our mould. Now of course, because I want this a little bit firmer, because I want to sit this moon in, it is behaving nicely today. Alright, let's start by pouring this one in. You can already see we've got some beautiful swirls happening here. And I want my moon to actually be quite high up on this one, so I'm going to pretty much pour most of this in. Going to wait for it to set up and then push my moon into it, and then finish pouring the rest of the soap. And I'm not going to do any movement of that soap at all. So once this is done, we'll pop our moon in. I will end up with one whole bar that actually doesn't have a moon embed in it, so I might actually just pop this right to the end, and we'll have a few samples from off of this one. Okay, so we have that in the mold. It is looking really pretty. Love it so far. I've got these little roses which I have had from off a few other soaps, and I'm just going to randomly decorate the top. I know I have at least one for every soap, so I'm going to make sure that each of these bars get at least one rose on the top, and then I think I have enough to put maybe a couple of smaller ones here and there in between. So what we'll do is put the really big ones on here first. Now, if ever you are wondering how much oil to use when you are doing like embeds and things like that, the easiest way I have worked this out, so particularly with this moon embed, is that I know how much oil my mold takes, and I then worked out how much I needed for my moon embed. So let's, for example, say that your mold holds 2 kilograms of oil. I'm just saying that because it's the most simplest number to use. So we'll say that your mold holds 2 kilograms of oil, not soap, but oil. And then when you make your moon embed, you use 500 grams of oil to make your moon embed. That means that there is 1,500 grams left out of your 2 kilogram batch. So then I mix up that remaining oil to fill the rest of the mold, and then you don't have to make any really complicated calculations when you do it that way. And 9 times out of 10, I get the right amount of soap to go into my mold. All right, I'm actually going to go with that pink one there because it is slightly bigger. And then what I'm going to do is just come back through. Some of these will get a couple of soaps. We might do them so that they sit, or a couple of roses, I should say. I might do it so they kind of sit in the cut lines so that you get like little half roses on them. So we're going to finish filling those in. I've got a couple of the yellow poppies from my Sunshine Poppy soap, but I don't think we'll put them on. We'll finish putting these roses in here, and then I've got the green setting up, which we will use to do some leaves with. So Midnight Rose is in the mold and it's looking absolutely gorgeous. I gave it a bit of a spritz with some Blizzard mica just to make it look like there were moonbeam rays shining off the flowers and leaves. Really happy with this one. We're going to leave it sit overnight and we'll be back very shortly and we'll cut it open and we'll see what swirls we've got in the inside. Okay, so we are ready to cut into this soap. It has got a slightly greenish tinge to it from the fragrance oil, but the last time that I used this one, that greenish tinge did disappear during its cure process, and the fragrance does remain nice and strong as well. Going to get this one all lined up onto the cutter. I'm not too worried about complete placement of those roses because I know some of them are going to get cut there. We've got our nice little end pieces. All right, let's go through and then we'll take a look on the inside. So thunk goes Ida. I'm going to grab my end piece off. So that one's not got a moon in. This piece won't, well, this one will only have a moon on one side. That is absolutely gorgeous. Love it. So that side doesn't have the moon on it, but that one does. It looks like there's a real shadow around that moon, like we're going into an eclipse there, just the way that that grey has settled on to them. What I tend to find by doing the two different types of In the Pot swirls, let's grab this one here, I tend to find that moon there has come up absolutely gorgeous. I tend to find when you do a In the Pot where you swirl it around like I've done on this moon, I get a lot more of that sort of circular look, whereas if I do it in the pot like we did the second time for around here, I get a lot more gentle swirls going through. But I love how this moon has come up, and as I said, this white will actually lose that sort of yellow and come back to the color it should be during its cure. Hopefully it has done so on every other time I've used this fragrance. Oh, there's a great big chunk of white in that one. Maybe there's a cloud about to move over the top of our moon there. Really loving how this one has come together. Love the top of it as well, but I'm really liking how that moon has swirled. So when I do my In the Pot swirls, I actually do prefer it to do it the way that the moon has come up, because I find I get a much better swirl pattern through it than doing that sort of putting it in at 12, 3, 6, 9 and then swirling it. I know, I just prefer the randomness of pouring it into the pot, but the moon's come up beautiful. So there is another piece there. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me as I did the In the Pot swirl in two different ways. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one and I will see you then. Bye.